Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I am today going to be talking about the Kospet Hope 4G smartwatch, which is right here. I've been using it for about a month, so I've had a pretty good go of it, and I'm going to be showing you and telling you my opinion of this Android smartwatch. So let's go. Okay, so the Kospet Hope 4G is one of a few Android smartwatches now that have been released by these kind of Chinese companies. It's relatively inexpensive at about $170, depending on where you buy it from, but it has quite an impressive array of specs. It has a 1.39-inch AMOLED display, which is my personally preferred screen type. It's got a resolution of 400 by 400, which for such a relatively small screen is very, very clear. It's got a quad-core CPU with 3 gigabytes of RAM. Now that is a lot of RAM for a watch. I mean, about a year ago, the phone that I had only had 4 gigabytes of RAM, so to have 3 gigabytes of RAM in a watch is pretty impressive. It also has a quad-core processor, as well as GPS, 4G connection, and Bluetooth. Now that essentially makes this watch a kind of replacement for your phone, or at least an optional replacement for your phone. It can do everything that an Android phone can do. It has the full Android operating system with the Play Store, able to download all the apps, YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Spotify, all that kind of stuff, and you can also receive calls and texts. If you buy a nano or even the smallest, no, I can't remember what it is, but the smallest type of SIM card can go in here at the back here, and it can connect to 4G networks. It even has a camera, which is kind of pointless, but it still has a camera, 8 megapixels. I have found zero use for that, but it's still there if you want to use it. Now let's take a look at the design and the screen, because that's pretty important if you could be wearing it all day. Now the screen for me is one of the better screens out there. So like I said, it's got a 1.39-inch AMOLED display, and it's pretty bright, it's pretty clear. Let's just take a look. This is the kind of system, the operating system with all the apps. So I find the screen to be perfectly reasonable, perfectly responsive, just as good as your phone. Now there are some issues with AMOLED displays. For example, in direct sunlight, it may not be as visible. You do sometimes need to turn the brightness up for it to be as visible as possible, which can then drain the battery. Now, as well as being a potential replacement for your smartphone, the Kospet Hope will also act as a fitness tracker. It's got a whole range of fitness tracking capabilities. It has a heart rate monitor, which works really, really well. It's continuous heart rate monitoring. So when you select the heart rate monitor, it will literally continuously show you what your heart rate is every few seconds, whereas many smartwatches, especially the cheaper ones, they only do it every 10 or 20 or 30 seconds. So, I mean, if you wanted continuous updates of your heart rate, then that's a good feature of this watch. It also has several built-in tracking features for different sports, so like football, running, treadmill, even skipping, table tennis. Now, I personally haven't used all of the fitness tracking capabilities. I've only done it when I've been running, walking, or at the gym, and just every now and then checking my heart rate to see if I'm still alive, and most of the time I am. For me, it's worked fine. I'm not a fitness freak. There are other watches out there that are much more designed for fitness, especially for, specific sports. I mean, this isn't waterproof, for example, so if you are swimming or doing any water sports, this probably would not be the watch for you. Another impressive thing about the Kospet Hope 4G is the fact that it has 32 gigabytes of internal memory, so you can put a lot of music on here, you can put a lot of files, a lot of apps if you want to just download as many apps as you wanted onto the watch itself. And yeah, I mean, along with the 3 gigabytes of RAM, the quad-core processor, like I said, I mean, it's verging on a phone capability that you would expect from a phone of a couple of years ago, but still, this is on your wrist. It's not a fully fledged phone, and it's a lot cheaper. But how does it work in reality? Now, I'm going to tell you basically the worst thing about this watch. It has all those features that I told you about, the processor, the RAM, the memory, the tracking features. Now, the only problem is that it is very thick. It is a very, very thick watch, if I can get it on my wrist. Yeah, it's quite thick. I mean, for me especially, because, I mean, I say this in every watch that I review, but I have quite thin wrists. If you don't have thin wrists, if you are used to large watches, it won't be as much of an issue for you. It definitely doesn't fit that well over a shirt or over a jumper, but some people don't mind that, or they just wear looser clothing than I do. So yeah, that is my main issue with this watch, the size of it. However, everything else I actually quite like. It's very attractive. It uses metal and glass for its materials, which is premium quality materials in the design. It looks good. It looks very shiny, new, modern, sleek. Now, as I said, this uses the full Android operating system, and that's fine. I mean, it gives you access to all the things you would expect from a phone, so it's really good. You can watch videos on this. You can download all the apps. But the only issue with it is that the Android operating system that's on this watch wasn't really designed to be used with watches, so sometimes the screen is cut off. So sometimes it's quite difficult to press some buttons, sometimes it's quite difficult to scroll. And I guess my final issue with this watch, just to be clear on the pros and cons, is the battery life. So yeah, I mean, this has a bright screen, AMOLED screen, uses all that power, that RAM, 4G, Bluetooth, GPS. That puts a lot of strain on the battery life. I found it lasts, if on a full charge, if I'm not using it all the time, it will last about a day and a half. I like my watches to last a few days at least, really. The idea of charging a watch every day really annoys me. I don't want to walk around with a dead piece of equipment on my wrist that's useless. Could be worse. Some watches don't even last the day that I've used recently. So guys, I guess that's it. That's just my quick review of the Kospet Hope 4G. I do really like it. I think it could be a replacement for your phone. I mean, I doubt many people will actually replace their entire phone with a smartwatch as of right now because, well, I mean, the screen's just not big enough to do everything you want to do on that you could do on a phone. I mean, you can reply to text on this, but typing is not the easiest thing in the world. It does also connect to your phone via Bluetooth, so you don't need to use the 4G connection if you don't want to. If you just wanted it to be a companion to your phone, that's also an option. And yeah, the camera. I mean, it's got a camera, but dear God, why would you use it? It's just stuck at the side there. It's 8 megapixels. It does produce some decent pictures, but like, why? Why would you? Why? If you are interested in this watch, then please feel free to click the link below, and try to find the cheapest place to buy it. So yeah, if you have any questions about this watch, feel free to ask me and I will get back to you. The next thing I have coming is the Redmi Note 7 Pro, which is the sequel to the Redmi Note 6 Pro, which I really, really liked. A new smartphone. I'm not sure when it's going to be released in the UK, USA, and Europe, but hopefully soon. So I will be getting that and reviewing it, so stay tuned for that. See you around. Bye.